Jai Hind students, welcome to my YouTube channel. Students, always do the right thing, no matter what others say. It is you, yes, it is you, not them, who have to face the consequences. Actually, students, in order to attain happiness, it cannot be purchased, obviously. It's something you must earn. Give happiness to others and get joy in return. That positive note, students, let's begin this session. In this particular session, we'll be discussing some numericals based on AC circuits, right? So let's proceed with the first question then. First question states that what is the power dissipation in an AC circuit in which the voltage and the current are given by E equals to 300 sine omega t plus pi by 2 and I equals to 5 sine omega t, right? We are supposed to find out the power. Now we are aware in an AC circuit the power is given by E I cos phi. EI, this is the apparent or the true power, and this is the power factor, right? So the power of an AC circuit is given by EI cos phi. This is the virtual value of EMF, this is the virtual value of current. So EI will give us virtual or the apparent power. Cos phi is the power factor and P is the average power or the true power. And here phi is the phase angle between E and I. Now concentrate on these two. Here the angle is, phase is omega t plus pi by 2. Here the phase is omega t. So what is the phase angle between these two? So here the phase angle between E and I is omega t plus pi by 2 minus omega t, right? So it is equal to pi by 2. That is, here the phase angle phi is equal to pi by 2. So it's pretty evident from these two equations that the EMF in the circuit leads the current by a phase angle of pi by 2. That is, the phase angle between EMF and the current is pi by 2. So therefore, in the present circuit, the power dissipation would be EI cos, in place of phi write pi by 2. Cos 90 is 0, therefore it will become 0. So in this AC circuit, there will be no power dissipation as the power factor is 0 because the phase angle between the EMF and the current is 90 degree, right? Okay, let's proceed with the second question now. In the second question, we are supposed to obtain the resonant frequency and the quality factor of a series LCR circuit with inductance 3 Henry, capacitance 27 microfarad and resistance of 10 ohm. So let's deal with the first part, resonant frequency. We are all aware of the expression for the resonant frequency. It is resonant angular frequency is omega naught. It is equal to 1 by square root of LC, isn't it? This is the resonant angular frequency. So let's substitute the values over here. So what I get is square root of L, it's given to be 3. C, it's given to be 27 microfarad. Don't forget to convert it in farad. So 10 is to minus 6, square root of 10 is to minus 6 is 10 is to minus 3. So when it goes in the numerator, it will become 10 is to 3 divided by 3 into 27. It can be written as 3 into 9. So what you get is 1000 divided by 9. So that will be equal to 111.1 and it will be radian per second. So this is the value of the resonant angular frequency, right? In case if you wish to find out the resonant linear frequency, then the formula would be omega naught is equal to 2 pi mu naught. Therefore, resonant linear frequency can also be determined. It will be equal to simply omega naught divided by 2 pi. So it will be 111.1 divided by 2 into 3.14. So the unit would be in hertz or per second, right? That can be found. Okay, now let's concentrate on the second part. We are also supposed to find out the Q factor. Now Q factor, we are aware of its formula. It is defined as the ratio of the voltage across the inductor or the capacitor to the applied voltage. And the expression for the Q factor is 1 by R square root of L by C. So let's substitute the values. 1 by R is given to be 10 ohm. L, it's given to be 3 Henry. And C, it's given to be 27 microfarad. So let's try to solve it. So what we get is 1 by 10 square root of 1 by 9 into 10 raised to power minus 6. So students, that will give us 10 raised to power 3. Square root of 10 raised to minus 6 is 10 raised to minus 3. And when it goes in the numerator, it will become 10 raised to power 3. And divided by square root of 9 is 3. 3 into 10 is 30. So it is equal to 1000 divided by 30. So 100 by 3. That is 33.33. And remember students, Q factor being the ratio of two similar physical quantities. It is VL by VR or VC by VR. So numerator, denominator both are measured in volts in SI. So Q factor being the ratio of two similar physical quantities, it do not possess any unit. Right? So second question is over. Now let's proceed to the third question now. Third question is, find the power consumed in a circuit having a resistance of 30 ohm in series with an inductance of 40 ohm. So the value of resistance is given. It is given to be 30 ohm. The value of inductance is given in series with an inductance of 40 ohm. Right? So it is basically the inductive reactance given. It is given to be 40 ohm. And peak current of the current amplitude is given to be 1 ampere, and the EMF amplitude, the peak voltage, peak means maximum value, it is given to be 220 volt. We are supposed to find out the power consumed. Now look students, the formula for the power consumed is the true value of power or the average value of power. It is equal to the apparent power multiplied by power factor. Apparent power is the product of the virtual value of EMF to the virtual value of current. And cos phi, as we are aware, it is known as the power factor, right? So here E0 and I0 is given. So we know that virtual value of EMF is equal to peak value divided by root 2. This is the relationship which we are aware of. Similarly, the virtual value of current is given by the peak value of current divided by root 2. And cos phi. Now cos phi. We are aware that this is the case of LR circuit. Inductor and resistor are connected. So it is the case of LR circuit. And in LR circuit, series circuit, we are aware that the EMF leads the current by phase angle phi given by omega L by R, XL by R, right? So from this information, tan phi equals to XL by R, we can easily find out the value of cos phi. Now let's make use of this triangle. Suppose this is a right angle triangle and this angle is suppose phi. Tan is perpendicular by base, so it is XL and this is R. And the hypotenuse would obviously be XL square plus R square. Isn't it students? So tan phi is XL by R. Therefore, cos phi, we can easily calculate its value. It is base over hypotenuse. So it will be R divided by square root of XL square plus R square. So let's substitute the value. The value of R is given to be 30 divided by square root of XL square. So it will be 40 square plus R square, that is 30 square. So square root of 40 square plus 30 square, that will give us 50. 30, 40, 50, they are the Pythagorean triplet. So what we get is
cos phi is equal to 30 divided by 50, or it is equal to 3 by 5. Therefore, students, the power dissipated in the circuit, it is equal to, let's substitute the values over here. E naught is 220 multiplied by I naught is 1. Root 2 into root 2 will become 2, and cos phi, it is 3 by 5. So that will give us 110 divided by 5 into 3. So that is 22 into 3, or 66 watt. What is the SI unit of power? So students, in the given circuit, 66 watt of power will be consumed. Now let's proceed to question number 4. Now in this question, we are supposed to find out the value of the root mean square or the virtual value of the alternating current from this graph, right? So it's pretty clear, students. In this case, the value of current has either a value of plus 3 ampere or minus 3 ampere with the passage of time. So at any instant with the passage of time, here the value of current is either plus 3 ampere or minus 3 ampere. Right? There is no other value. These are the only two values which the current attains with the passage of time. Therefore, obviously, RMS value of current or the virtual value of current must be 3 ampere. It can be mathematically verified as well, right? So IRM is actually root mean square. It is the square root of mean of the squares of the current. So mathematically it may be represented by I1 square plus I2 square divided by 2, or I1 square plus I2 square plus I3 square divided by 3, right? So here we are considering only these two values. The current at any given instant of time can attain only value of 3 ampere or minus 3 ampere. So you can substitute the value over I1 and I2 over here. So what do you get? 3 square plus minus 3 square divided by 2. So that will give us 18 by 2, that is root 9. So that will be 3 ampere. So the RMS or the virtual value of current is obtained to be 3 ampere, right? Okay, let's proceed to the question number 5. The frequency of AC source is doubled. How do R, XL and XC get affected? Plot graph showing variation of R, XL and XC with the frequency of AC source. Okay, these are the informations which we are aware of. XL is equal to omega L. It is equal to 2 pi nu L. This is the first information which we are aware of. This is the inductive reactance. The capacitive reactance, which is the effective opposition offered by the capacitor to the flow of current. It is 1 by omega C. It is 1 by 2 pi nu C. Nu is the frequency of the AC source. And third point, R, the ohmic resistance. It is obviously independent of the frequency. It is independent of frequency, right? So now let's try to answer the questions. How do R get affected on changing the frequency of the AC source? So R, which is the ohmic resistance, being independent of the frequency of the AC source, it would remain unaffected. So ohmic resistance would remain unaffected. It won't have any effect on the change in the frequency of the AC source. While on the other hand, let's consider XL. The frequency of AC source is doubled. If the frequency is made 2 times, the inductive reactance will also become twice, right? So XL will become twice. As the frequency of the AC source is doubled, the inductive reactance will also get doubled. What about XC? Now when frequency over here gets doubled, then XC will become half. It will reduce to half. It is inversely proportional to the frequency of the AC source, right? So if the frequency of the AC source is doubled, then XC, which is being inversely proportional to the frequency, will become half of its original value. So we have got the value of the first part. So with the increase or with the increase in the frequency of the AC source, the value of R will remain unchanged. As the frequency is doubled, XL will also become twice, and with the increase in the frequency, XC will decrease. In case the frequency is made twice, XC will become half, right? Now let us plot the graph showing the variation of R, XL and XC with the frequency of the AC source. We can represent all the variations in a single graph. Suppose this is R or XL or XC. Let it be represented by this y-axis, and let this horizontal axis, it denotes the frequency. It may be linear frequency or angular frequency. Now look students, resistance is independent of frequency, so it will be a straight line parallel to the horizontal axis. So whatever be the frequency of the AC source, it won't have any effect on the resistance, right? So this is resistance. Okay, second is XL being directly proportional to frequency. So the graph between XL and nu would be a straight line passing through the origin. So this is the graph for XL, which is directly proportional to frequency, right? And third is XC, capacitive reactance. It is inversely proportional to the capacitance, isn't it? So its graph would be like this. So this is for capacitive reactance. It is inversely proportional to the frequency. So these are the graphs showing the variation of R, XL or XC with the frequency of the AC source. Now let's try to attempt question number 6. A resistor of 50 ohm. Let's note down the value. The value of resistance is given to be 50 ohm. Inductor of 20 by pi Henry. L is given to be 20 by pi Henry. And a capacitor of 5 by pi microfarad into 10 raised to power minus 6 farad. All are connected in series. So basically we are dealing with LCR series circuit, right? And it is connected across a voltage source 230 volt 50 hertz. We are supposed to find out the impedance of this circuit, right? Whenever impedance of the LCR circuit is to be found, first find the individual values of XL, XC. So let's find out the value of XL. It is omega L, isn't it? It is 2 pi nu L. Let's find its value. 2 pi, frequency is 50 hertz, it's given. And the value of L is given to be 20 by pi. So pi get cancelled. So we get 2000 ohm, right? Similarly, let's obtain the value of XC, the capacitive reactance. It is 1 by omega C, which will be equal to 1 by 2 pi nu C. So let's substitute the values over here. 2 pi, frequency is 50 hertz, that's the linear frequency. And capacitance, it's going to be 5 by pi into 10 raised to minus 6. So 5 into 10 raised to minus 6 and over here pi. Pi get cancelled. So what we get is 10 raised to 6 divided by 500. Isn't it? So that will give us 10 raised to 4 divided by 5. So it is again 2000 ohm. So what we conclude from these two values is XL is equal to XC. Therefore, students, it is the case of resonant LCR series circuit. It is the case of a resonant LCR series circuit, isn't it? And in the case of resonance, ZLCR, the impedance is minimum and it is equal to the ohmic resistance. This we are already aware, isn't it? So, ZLCR in the present circuit would be simply equal to the ohmic resistance, which is given to be 50 ohm. So this should be the answer, right? So in the case of LCR circuit, whenever the impedance is to be found, first check whether XL is equal to XC or not. If it happens that XL is equal to XC, then it must be the case of resonant LCR circuit. And in the case of resonance, we are aware the impedance offered by the LCR series resonance circuit is exactly equal to the ohmic resistance. So the impedance offered by the LCR circuit is minimum in this case, right? And it is found to be 50 ohm. You can do it directly as well. We are aware ZLCR, it is equal to square root of XL minus XC. You can write it as XC minus XL whole square as well, plus R square. Now here, since XL is equal to XC, therefore ZLCR, it would be equal to, it will get cancelled, it will be 0. So square root of R square will give us R. And the value of R is given to be 50 ohm. So that's the answer. Now this is indeed a very, very good question which we are going to attempt. An inductor L of reactance XL, right, is connected in series with a bulb B to an AC source. We are supposed to explain how does the brightness of this bulb change when the number of turns in the inductor is reduced, an iron rod is inserted into the interior of the inductor, and a capacitor of reactance XC equals to XL is included in series in the same circuit, right? First and foremost, students, the brightness of the bulb does depend upon the current flowing through its filament. That is, more the magnitude or the strength of the current flowing through the bulb, the greater will be the brightness with which it will glow, right? So, if the current flowing through the bulb is large, then the bulb will glow brightly. And if the current through the bulb is quite low, then it will glow dimly, that is with lesser intensity. So that should be kept in mind. So first basic point to be noted is that brightness of the bulb, it is directly proportional to the current flowing through it. Right? This is the first point to be noted down. And also, current will be more if the net opposition offered by the circuit element is less. Now, this is L and this is R. It will offer some ohmic resistance. So it can be treated as LR circuit. So in this case, current would be given by E divided by ZLR, which is the impedance offered by the inductor and the resistor to the flow of current, which in turn is equal to square root of XL square plus R square. Right? We are aware of this. XL is the inductive reactance, isn't it? XL is equal to omega L. So basically, students, R, the resistance of the bulb, is constant. So with the increase or decrease in the value of XL, the current will also vary. Now third point is the inductance of a coil. We are aware it's given by N square mu naught AL. N is the number of turns per unit length. Here N is the number of turns per unit length. Therefore, in case no medium is inserted as a core, in case of vacuum, what we get is N square mu naught A divided by L. Now let's try to attempt the first question. When the number of turns of the inductor is reduced, now keeping all the factors constant, L is directly proportional to N square. So students, obviously when the number of turns in the inductor is reduced, then the value of inductance will also get reduced. With the reduce in the value of the inductance, XL will also get reduced. Now with the reduction in the value of XL, the current will increase obviously. Isn't it? The current definitely will increase. So what happens is, in this case, the bulb will start glowing with greater intensity. Again I repeat students, we are supposed to explain the brightness of the bulb, how it changes when the number of turns of the inductor is reduced, right? So in this case, as the number of turns in the coil get reduced, the inductance get reduced. With the increase in the inductance of the coil, the inductive reactance also get reduced. So with the decrease in the denominator, the current will increase. So with the decrease in the number of turns in the coil, more current will flow through the bulb. So accordingly, bulb will glow with more intensity. So in the first case, bulb will glow with more intensity. Bulb with glow with more intensity, or it will glow more brightly, right? So that's the answer of the first part. Second, an iron rod is inserted. Now when iron rod is inserted, then what happens is, suppose this is the iron rod which is inserted over here. Now the inductance, it will be given by N square mu naught mu r A by L. Now iron rod is a ferromagnetic material. The relative permeability for a ferromagnetic material is very large as compared to one. So basically with the introduction of iron core, the value of inductance increases. Therefore, XL will also increase. XL is equal to omega L. So with the increase in the inductance, XL will increase. So when the inductive reactance increases, then the current will decrease. Therefore, current decreases. And since current decreases, therefore, the bulb will glow with lesser intensity. So in the second case, when the rod is inserted into the interior of the inductor, the bulb will glow with lesser intensity. Right? Now let's consider on the third part, which is again very important one. A capacitor of reactance Xc equals to XL is included in series in the same circuit. So now this is the case. This is the inductor which is already given. Now a capacitor is introduced over here. And this is the bulb. So students, it will behave as LCR circuit. It will behave as LCR circuit. This is the capacitor which is connected, and this is the bulb which will offer some ohmic resistance. And here it is given that XL is equal to XC. Now look, it behaves as LCR circuit, and since XL is equal to XC, therefore it will behave as resonant LCR series circuit. And we are aware, in the case of resonance condition, the impedance offered is minimum, and therefore the current flowing through the LCR circuit is maximum, which means that this is the case where the current flowing through the circuit will be maximum, which implies that the bulb will glow with maximum intensity. The bulb in this case will glow with maximum brightness or intensity. So it was a very interesting case. In this circuit, when a capacitor of capacitive reactance equal to the inductive reactance is introduced in the circuit, then this bulb will start glowing with maximum brightness. It is because it is satisfying the resonance condition, whereby the impedance offered by the LCR circuit is minimum and the current flowing through the LCR circuit would be maximum, and accordingly the bulb will start glowing with maximum brightness. So students, I hope you have understood the concepts involved in these questions. It was a conceptual question, very important one from board examination point of view. So we will conclude this session, and do join me in my next lecture then. Till then, do take very good care of yourself. Thank you.